Today is Monday, October 16th, 2017, and this is the ServiceMonster Show. Today, run for your lives, wireless gets hacked, operating agreements and data issues, and ServiceMonster gets a newsfeed. This week in social media. So if you haven't heard yet, it's starting to become an internet buzz. Essentially, wireless has been hacked. Now, what does that mean? First of all, the protocol, WPA2, the encryption's been busted, essentially. They did some theoretical stuff and now they're able to open that up at will, but couple things to keep in mind. This can't happen from India. In order to hack your wireless communications, they need to be in proximity of the wireless router. A simple patch in the router or in your mobile device will simply fix the issue. So make sure you're updating your devices as well as your routers. Now, when you have one updated and not the other, you're still protected. Okay. You're also always protected if you're using HTTPS websites. They can't get into that traffic. They may be able to see where you're making your requests to and fro, but they won't get the data that is being shipped back and forth. So how big of a deal is it? Pretty big deal, especially for companies. You know, some people can just cruise by and hack into the network. That provides a backdoor to the LAN, and I'm going way over most people's heads, but you get the idea. It can be a point of vulnerability, but it's got to be a dedicated attack or someone cruising around the neighborhood just hoping to capture you filling out a credit card form on a non-HTTPS site. So update your firmware, you're fine. Stay in HTTPS, you're fine. And just generally monitor your internet activity anyway. This week until Wednesday, we're at the UMACC convention in Orlando, Florida. Come by and say hi. Facebook opens up a food delivery service. So now with partnered food and websites, you can push some buttons and get some food shipped to you. Obviously, there's been a handful of companies of the Uber of X variety trying to do this kind of stuff. And of course, Uber itself is doing food delivery service, as is Lyft. But you know, Facebook now wants to play the game, so they're offering that service. How long before they get a service for service button? This week in ServiceMonster. So what's been on my mind over the last week or so? Operating agreements. And obviously I can't go too deep, but I do have some interesting stories and some parallels for the service providers at home. So about once a year, I get involved in a general legal dispute over somebody's data and business, and it gets pretty ugly. The first thing I have to do is identify there's an actual issue and not someone just claiming they have ownership over data that has nothing to do with them. If we feel that there's a semi-credible case, I cut the baby in half. I generally lock everybody out until both parties have a conversation with me. And that gets a little weird because technically you guys own the data. But if I have an issue and I'm not able to identify the actual owner of the data, I'm going to take a little time out and have some conversation and make sure that I understand the situation. Most of the time it's pretty clear, based off our policy, who the data owner is. And that is just the way it is unless enacted through a court order, which happens sometimes. And more often than not, it's relatives, husband and wife team, or brothers who got in business together. Occasionally, it's the office manager who so a lot of you guys will, more than you care to admit, can relate to this. The owner of the business has some shady credit, and in order to get some stuff going, has the business manager sign on the dotted line. And she ends up taking a portion or all of the business, then opening shop the next day down the road. It all gets really complicated really fast if you're not checking your T's and I's. So operating agreements are something that is critical if you're going to have more than one person. And remember, the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership. And I'm guilty of this. We have partners, but you know, there's been times when it's been hard to work with everybody's individual agenda across 5 people. Mathematically speaking, if you take 5 times, never mind. But the point is the more people that get involved, the more complicated the whole process becomes. So an operating agreement is essential. Basically, if you have a business, you're already operating under a federal general set of rules, the state's general set of rules, and then you get to enact your own rules depending on if you're an LLC or an S Corp or a C Corp based off your bylaws and articles of incorporation. They establish the business itself and the rules that you're going to operate under so that if there's more than one person involved, everybody knows what's going on. Although you never know. Your perception may be different than what's in the rules. So having a thorough understanding of your bylaws is critical if you're a business owner or someone who has ownership in someone else's business. And as wise as you think you may be, it's even wiser to find a credible counselor and listen to them more. Don't ask me how I know. ServiceMonster product updates. So ServiceMonster Mobile 3, there's been a push to Android, but don't download it. Some reason the keyboard's not popping. Lee is working hard to get that replaced, so just be cautious right now. We don't want you guys downloading that and then losing your keyboard. Hopefully have it pushed and fixed before the end of the day. The iOS update didn't take. There was something else wrong. I think we were missing an icon or something, so Apple rejected it. We have to fit under a very specific set of guidelines, and I think we just missed one here. So luckily that happened, and Lee will be fixing that prior to close of business today. ServiceMonster 6.1, the guys are hard at work with a handful of features. They're pounding out all kinds of fun stuff. Alex was gone last week, so they were just on cruise control based off what he sent. And I had one engineer to myself working on the Newsfeed. The new feature, which we were going to release here soon, is basically the home page with the dashboards, moved around aesthetically. And in the center, you get a newsfeed of what's going on in your business. Activities, notes, pictures, audit records, when things get deleted. It's amazing. Just like the newsfeed in the account record, a global newsfeed really keeps you in tune with everything that's going on. So I'm really excited to get that out to you and use that as a communication platform for any maintenance or anything else that we need to do. ServiceMonster Mobile Technician moves into a field test beta this week, which I'm excited about. So essentially I'm going to distribute a handful of builds, APKs, and patches for the devices for a single company here in Bellingham, and they're going to run with it for the next week or two. We're going to get feedback and go from there. But the project is moving forward quickly, and the list of features that I want for an initial release is down to like 2. Really excited. Can't wait to get that out. And if I haven't told you already, there is an offline mode. So excited by that, and look for more information as we present it. From everyone here at ServiceMonster, thank you so much for your attention. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, go check out the demo, and give us a call.